Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Taft City Council Successor Agency Joint Regular Meeting for Tuesday, April the 3rd, 2018. As a courtesy to all, if you would please silence your cell phones or put them on vibrate, then we can move forward. We're going to begin this evening's meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, led by City Manager Craig Jones, and an invocation by Scott Pearson from the First Baptist Church.
Stand. Pledge. Salute. Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful day. We thank you for the celebration of the Easter season, the resurrection of Jesus, ensuring new life for all of us who believe in him. We thank you for our city. We thank you for the people that work here, the people who serve here. We are thankful, God, always for your grace and mercy that is at work in our lives each and every day, even when we don't recognize it. Father, be giving wisdom, we pray, as decisions are made this evening, for we ask this all in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Scott. All right, Madam Clerk, may we have a roll call, please?
Mayor Knorr.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Hill. Here. Councilmember Bryant.
Here.
Councilmember Cryer.
Here.
Councilmember Miller.
Here.
Okay, item number one this evening is a proclamation, DMV Donate Life, and Councilman Miller is going to take care of this issue. Councilman Miller.
Thank you. We have a proclamation declaring month of April 2018 as DMV Donate Life California Month in Kern County. Whereas organ, tissue, marrow, and blood donations are life-giving acts recognized worldwide as expressions of compassion to those in need. And whereas more than 114,000 individuals nationwide and more than 21,000 people in California are currently on the National Organ Transplant Waiting List. And on average, 20 people die each day while waiting due to the shortage of donated organs. And whereas one organ donor can save the lives of up to 8 people by donating their heart, lungs, kidney, liver, pancreas, and small intestines. And whereas more than 600,000 units of blood per year are needed to meet the need in California. Whereas millions of lives each year are saved and healed by donors of organs, tissues, marrow, and blood. And whereas California residents can sign up with the Donate Life California Donor Registry when applying for or renewing their driver's licenses or ID cards at the California Department of Motor Vehicles. Now, therefore, the City Council of the City of Taft does hereby join other cities in the proclaiming the month of April 2018 as DMV Donate Life Month in Kern County, dated this third day of April 2018, signed by Mayor Dave Moore and the rest of the council.
Sir, are you here representing this?
I am.
Well, please step up to the mic if you would and introduce yourself to the council and to the people.
I'm Chuck Pruitt, former resident of Taft, and I'm here representing One Legacy and Donate Life and the transplant community because in August of 2014, I received the liver of a 19-year-old young man in a transplant at Cedars-Sinai. Without that transplant, I would have been dead in a matter of days of that time. In addition to the transplant, I also received approximately 176 units of blood, plasma, and platelets to keep me alive during that time. So that's another cause that I'm very passionate about, is donating blood and plasma and blood products. I appreciate you guys very much doing this, and if it's possible, could we get a picture with the presentation there?
If you would. And Councilman Miller, how many units of blood have you donated?
I've given 10 gallons of blood.
10 gallons of blood.
It doesn't hurt.
Mr. Keeler's name.
And if you Go to the DMV to renew your license, right on your license, there's a little pink dot. And that means you donate. There's no question asked, if you're involved in an accident, unfortunately, and you can donate your organs, there's no question, you have to ID with you, you don't have to ask the family, it's a good deal.
It is very much. I'm here because of someone who did it.
I would like to do this proclamation.
Thank you very much. I've got some goodies for you guys.
What are your guys?
May.
Thank
Token of our appreciation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thanks for coming.
And one more thing, Yvette is my niece by marriage.
Oh, well. You got a little family in then, don't you? All right. Thanks again, sir. Thank you for
Thank you very
coming.
much.
Thank you.
All right, next item. Don't forget that. Item number 2 is another proclamation for Adult Education Week, and Mayor Pro Tem Hill is going to read that for us.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a proclamation declaring April 9th through 13, 2018, Adult Education Week. Whereas West Kern Adult Education Network provides a way for adults to complete high school studies in their own time and pace. And whereas West Kern Adult Education Network provides instruction to those in our community who need English as a second language and citizenship courses. And whereas West Kern Adult Education Network provides career and technical training for adults seeking career changes or enhancements. And whereas Adult School provides for the unique needs of individuals in a diverse population. And whereas West Kern Adult Education Network is a primary community resource for the teaching and instruction of adult literacy. Now therefore, the City Council of the City of Taft does hereby proclaim the week of April 9th through 13th, 2018 as Adult Education Week, and salutes the administration, teachers, and students of the West Kern Adult Education Network, and honor their efforts and accomplishments. Dated this 3rd day of April 2018 by Mayor Knorr and the City Council.
All right. Thank you very much, Mayor Pro Tem. Do we have anybody in the audience representing? All right. A couple people.
Not going to get out of comments that easy, right?
You got to come up here and talk to
We
us.
don't have to sign this. We're on the agenda. I'm Kathy Johnson, and I live at 128 Center Street. And this is Stacy Falgoux. She is the Dean of Instruction of the Adult Education, and I'm the Director. And we have been open for about 2 years now. We're a state-funded organization, and we are governed by a board of members from Taft High School, Taft College, Maricopa Unified School District, and Kern County Superintendent of Schools. We serve ongoing about 200 students at a time in all of these different classes. We've concentrated the first 2 years on our GED and ESL programs, English as a second language, citizenship, and we've graduated over 50 students in the first 2 years with their GED, both in Spanish and English. And I just wanted, before I ask Stacy to say a few things about our workforce classes that are coming up, I just want to say that when I was hired as a director, it was directly as a result of you guys, of the city and Taft, investing in me to choose me as a Habitat for Humanity homeowner. Because when I moved into my home, it brought such a stability in my life. I was in my 50s, and I went back to school, finished my AA. I was on the 30-year plan with Taft College at that time. And then I got my bachelor's degree in 18 months after that. And I wasn't really sure in my late 50s what I was going to do with a bachelor's degree, but I just felt like it was a step I needed to take, an example I needed to be for my kids. When this job came up, I was considering retiring, and I was in my early 60s, and that was the next step. And then this job came up, and I just thought, what an opportunity. And surprise, surprise, they hired me. And we've been able to look at the community, because we are a part of this community, and look at what the real needs of this community are. And we've been able to form and design this program with those needs in mind, because 25% of our adults in this community do not have a high school diploma. And we're very high, as you know, close to 12% in unemployment. So we're able to design this. And I'm going to let Stacy talk to you just for a minute about our upcoming classes. And then you can.
And I'll disperse it. We're just looking at what we needed in the community was just those fast-paced workforce training programs that we can implement under the CTE, connecting with Taft College and also Taft High, building those bridges and saying, okay, we can meet the needs and give everyone a chance to go to class for free and get a 2-week or a 4-week training, however it looks. We brought in computer skills that we're opening up, personal care aides, welder's helper, forklifting, annually that we're doing. Security guard is the new hub station that we're trying to create here as well, building that, and then other programs alongside soft skills and with the work readiness skills that we're bringing into place as well. These are free. They're, it's opportunity for anyone to come and then get on board with any company that's locally here that we're bridging with to make that happen for our people here in Taft. So that's what we're doing, and that's what we're kind of already got installed, and it's already moving. It's already in place.
It sounds like an excellent program. It sounds like you're having a great effect, and it was really nice to hear your story regarding the Habitat for Humanity and just exactly what spurred you on. So congratulations on that.
Yes.
That's
We are
fantastic.
having a mixer on the 19th.
Yes.
We'd like to invite you to, and you can just hand that over. We hope you come.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks for sharing that with us, ladies. Thank you now.
Let me hand these to you too.
All right, next up, item number 3, study session, economic development. City Manager Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to call up Mark Staples to discuss. We had the meeting with the ad hoc committee, and where we reviewed a proposal by Retail Strategies for Economic Development. And let me back up. Me and Mark had a meeting, and then it was proposed at the ad hoc committee meeting, and I think everyone was in favor of forwarding the city council for consideration. The ICSC in Las Vegas is in May, so we're kind of hopeful that this group can represent us there, but Mark can explain some of the particulars, the reasons why we're trying to contract.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Staples.
Thank you, Mayor Noor and fellow council members. Mark Staples, Planning Director for the city. As the city manager mentioned, we've been discussing some economic development services through this company, Retail Strategies, particularly their Executive Vice President, Joe Fackel. He's in the documentation you have for consent calendar item 19 this evening. Our face-to-face meeting, he presented a lot of things where he had already done his homework on Taft, even in that meeting, and then even more so at the Economic Development Ad Hoc Committee meeting. Understanding the little more of a true traffic count in the area, he showed us there's tools to track at least hotspots of cell phone data that show a little more of a real number of activity in an area. And then he's also, at least his first step, seems to have gotten a real good idea of what Taft is. Gentleman's from, I guess you could say, the Midwest. His office is in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. He says about half dozen clients in California, and they're building the California clientele for representing them at these ICSC events. Possibly Mayor Noor and Councilmember Miller might recall a number of years ago a economic development study through a company called Buxton.
Yeah.
This gentleman worked for them before working for this company. So that's the experience he has. So at the Economic Development Committee meeting, he conference called in, and we were able to remotely show a presentation to the committee members. They were able to ask a number of questions of
how he plans to approach this retail recruitment, is what they call it. And I believe their questions were answered and pretty much in unanimous decision to move forward to this evening. I think probably a better report might be able to come from Mayor Pro Tem Hill and Councilmember Bryant as they sit on that committee meeting, and if there's anything the two of you might want to add of what impression Mr. Fackel provided as far as the services he could provide. His information is in the document, and one thing I will add is that he did report to me that he wasn't able to make tonight or even call in tonight, but within 60 days he will physically be here as part of the deliverables that you see in the document that's in your agenda. So you should be able to see him face to face. His picture is in the document as well as the assistant or the associate that will probably be assisting us with the retail recruitment as well. So with that, I don't know if there's any comments from the two council members that sit on the committee.
Ladies first?
By all means, go ahead.
Okay. Well, at the end of the day, I was very impressed with the presentation. About a year to a year and a half ago, we engaged a firm that provided similar information, but not until after we'd engaged them. These folks came in right off the bat, provided a lot of very important data when it comes to showing where we lack locally and where the traffic is going. He mentioned that some of the neighborhood of $17 to $18 million per year is leaching out of our community and into other communities because we simply don't have those type of retailers, those type of shops here for folks to spend here. We've talked a lot about our needs and our desires from an economic development perspective, and these folks, and where our shortcomings are. We go to ICSD pretty often. We just have a hard time getting people in a room to make a deal. These folks are business partners with those folks, and they're an unbiased third party who at some point could sit them in a room and say, hey, these people are legit, or no, we don't. We don't have the means to fill the need that they're looking to fill. So I think that these folks are a critical component of our economic development future. And I think that it's very important that we consider this. Again, I was very impressed with the timeline of deliverables. It's a 3-year plan. He's not going to turn us into Bakersfield or into LA tomorrow, but he did deliver to us. By this point, we're going to have this. And if we don't, we have the option to opt out. By the second point, again, the same type of scenario. I was very, very impressed with his presentation, and I think we should heavily consider this.
The other thing that I liked about him was one of the problems we usually have when we go out to solicit businesses is the rooftop situation. Taft is Taft, and they look at our population and they say, oh, you're too small. This man understood very much the fact that we have South Taft, Taft Heights, Ford City, and all the other Maricopa and all these little areas around, which really gives us a lot more rooftops. And he understood how to explain that and how to defend our population. So that right there, I think, is a big plus because most people go into this saying, oh, we're just too small. So he was enthusiastic on that, and that was a point that we know we failed at a lot in the past.
One of the things, Mr. Mayor, if I might, he talked about our vacant building situation, which is very unique because we haven't had an economic development person in my tenure here that has said, hey, you have this issue and here's how I think we can combat it, which was very unique because we know we have the problem, and this guy brought it out to us without us even asking for it, without us paying him anything. He also talked about, we go to ICSC or any place where we're trying to advertise, we have commercial space, we have retail space. Of course, we're going to tell everybody that Taft's the greatest city in the world because we believe it and because it is. But at the end of the day, those people can't look at us as an unbiased third party. When they get this person in the room and they're able to tell us that they've vetted us, they have this type of space, they're willing to offer this, and they can look at them as not just promoting us, but being, again, an unbiased third party vouching for us, I think that gives us a hand up when it comes to bringing folks to town.
So their credibility is an important aspect
Oh,
in the
absolutely.
sales. I see. All right. Questions, gentlemen?
I have a couple of questions. How is he different from all the other people that came here and tell us how they can make?
One thing that I noticed was he already had his homework done. When he came to us, he understood Taft. He knew what we needed. He knew what our previous problems were, as opposed to somebody that we've solicited and has to go out and do that homework. He did all that on his own before he got here.
If I can remember correctly, we had the same situation where they talked a good deal and doesn't really come out. And then we had a study session a couple of years ago. Some people generally paid $25,000 to come out here and
HDL, right?
no.
Some of the connections that HDL has made, we've been in contact. These deals don't come together very quickly, and that's one of the things you pointed out. There are some things that have been in the works for a number of years that was made with initial contacts, but for one reason or another, construction costs, maybe they built something in Wasco and they're going to come to TAP next. Just different scenarios. So he already knows some of the connections that we've already made, and there's people that are interested in coming to TAP. They're still putting their deals together. And he shared some of the franchises that are already on board with TAP. They just have to make the numbers work. And then you asked about what makes this company different. Their approach is through technology-based information. So when they provide information to the potential clients, they can show clusters of rooftops. They also use GPS technology to show all the transient workers that are coming out of the Bakersfield and other areas to work in TAP. That it's hard for us to prove. Because that was one of my biggest questions: is how do you prove that these people are actually here during the day? And when the new technology with cell phones and other devices, you can actually use web-based products to prove those numbers. So I don't want to say that any of our money was ever wasted, because those contacts were made, they were followed up on. I have the emails. I've actually met face-to-face with a number of franchises, and deals are very hard to put together because there's a lot of things at play. And not only that, if you have $2 million and you want to open a franchise and it costs $2 million, that doesn't mean that franchise will let you do it. You have to get approval from their board to even begin the construction process. So we have franchisee owners that own other franchises in Kern County that want to build things here, but they have to go through the proper channels to get those approved. And there are a number of projects that we can't name right now because they're not approved yet, but they're working on them. So I just don't want to say that HDL did us a bad job or didn't make the contacts, because what we were buying with HDL is somebody's word, and he is still a very trusted individual in the development world, and people believe what he says. And like Councilman Bryant pointed out, city staff and city managers can go to ICSC and tell everybody that Taft's the greatest place in the world and they're going to make a bunch of money. But we're going to say that because we love Taft and we work here. They look for someone that can prove that they can make a profit, because bottom line, no one's coming if they can't make a profit.
Thank you.
All right. Councilman Millen?
Although Taft's 93268, so is South Taft, Valley Acres, Dustin Acres. You know, we have all, but when you're looking at numbers, there's not like a Taft and then subtext underneath it, Taft. You know, they're all in alphabetical order. Any population things I've ever seen is all in alphabetical order. So if you're looking at Taft, you don't see South Taft because that's down under the S's. And so that's what, when all these surveys and when they come out and looking at population bases, they don't look at that. They don't look at the west side. And a lot of times the 93268 is not broken down properly so that you can gather the information if you're not familiar with the area and know that we have, you know, up to 25,000 people within, you know, 10 miles of here. It's always been that problem. We're building roofs now because that's what Bruxton said we need to do, and we're building roofs now, so that's got to be a positive thing. And
the good thing is too, the numbers they look at on those are usually entitlements for roofs. They don't actually look at physical houses. It's what's entitled to be built, because that's what they're looking at anticipation.
So you know, as soon as we can land our first franchisee, and that again hopefully starts the domino. And the biggest one right now is Best Western. You know, they made a huge commitment to come here, and it's proved to be very successful as far as I understand. Our TOT tax is way up there, and I've heard that they're wishing they had built some more rooms.
Yeah, they have no complaints.
Yeah, so that's something that we couldn't brag about before, but that we can brag about now. So it just takes, like I said, it just takes time to work these deals together before somebody can make a money commitment. And that the other issue down the road that we have always been fighting is annexation. And it would have been a lot easier years ago if this community would have united. But you know, here are, as a city of Taft, fighting for everybody, in the metropolitan areas around here to bring things to the community, but we can't always, not being in this community, those folks are not really helping us a lot. So if this gentleman has recognized that we've got a population base here that is not just 8,000, it's 20,000, so that's good. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you very much. Well, Mark, thank you. Thanks for the presentation. Looks like everybody understands what we're doing and the benefits that will derive from this company. So we'll see how things go here in just a little bit.
All right.
All right, thanks, sir. All right, next up, item number 4, public hearing, zoning ordinance amendment number 2017-09, recreational vehicle occupancy, parking, and storage. Recommendation is conduct a public hearing, and then a motion to approve and amend the Taft City Council or Taft City Municipal Code. So at this time, I'm going to open the public hearing.
Then you're going to read the item, Mr. Jones?
I can't. Would you like me to read the statement?
Okay, we'll do that.
Okay.
Summary.
All right, City Manager Jones.
On January 17, 2018, the Planning Commission recommended approval to the Taft City Council zoning ordinance amendment number 2017-09 regarding recreational vehicle occupancy, parking, and storage. The Planning Director presented a draft new section 61220 to the Planning Commission, which contains standards for residential properties that have recreational vehicles, fifth wheels, and similar vehicles. It is established that such vehicles not to be parked in the front yard or driveway, but parked and stored along the side yards, rear yards, and available parking areas off alleyways. The prohibited uses section establishes standards and conditional use permit applications needed for recreational vehicles, mobile homes, or others. Temporary housing may be needed on industrial, ag, or other similar land uses. Furthermore, Section D was added to identify recreational vehicles being subject to the city's vehicle nuisance standard in Chapter 4.1 of Title 3 of the Taft Municipal Code. Staff recommends the City Council hold a public hearing and make a motion to approve zoning ordinance amendment number 2017-09, adding a new section of Chapter 12, Title 6 of the Taft Municipal Code regarding recreational vehicle occupancy, parking, and storage.
All right, thank you, City Manager Jones. Thank you very much, Councilman Moore. So at this time, we're going to open the public hearing. Anybody wishing to speak in support of this issue or in opposition to this issue, please step forward. If you would, please state your name for the record.
Sandra Downey. I just have a question. I didn't know this was on the agenda for tonight. So is this saying you can't park your own trailer in your driveway in the city? Is that what I'm to understand? Is that that's what they're wanting to do? I understand they don't want them on the streets, but you're saying you don't want them parked in the driveway also?
That is correct. If I'm not mistaken, having read this, you are allowed to drive your recreational vehicle, or I'm sorry, you're allowed to park your recreational vehicle alongside of your house or in the backyard of the house if you have an alley entrance to the back of the house. That is correct. Not in the front portion of the house in the front driveway.
How can they do that on your own? That's your own property. If it's your driveway, how can you do that if it's your own property?
Well, that is what the ordinance takes up. So that would be up to recommendations from the planning department as well as consideration of the city council.
City of Taft has nuisance laws, and that's a nuisance.
I understand, but usually as I've seen it, as I've lived here a long time, those laws apply to who the city ordinance officer wants it to apply to, not to everyone equally.
Well, I beg to differ with that, but that's definitely your opinion. So I don't know how to address that other than...
Well, I mean, and it's not just in that fact. I mean, and I realize we have new police chief, and hopefully things will change. But with the ordinance officer that I have dealt with, not just for trailers, but in general, the laws apply to who they want them to apply to. So if they're going to make that a general rule ordinance that needs to be followed by everyone, not just when someone calls to complain, depends on who you are, whether it's okay or not. So as long as it's equal across the board, then I don't have any problems with it.
All right, well, thank you for your statement. Would you like to address that?
No,
Okay.
something else. One thing that we may want to consider is an exception made for a certain period of time for people that are going camping or something, that are loading and unloading, and
I do believe that as long as it doesn't exceed 72 hours, so you have 72 hours on the front side of any trip, and you have 72 hours on the back side of any trip. Mark Staples, you going to address that?
Yes, that's at the end of the staff report there, referencing Chapter 4.1 of Title III. That's
I
the
just wanna
vehicle
make sure
code
that they didn't
section
change
about
that.
72 hours of parking. So that gives people a weekend of people staying. We'd rather not people dry camping, but it happens. You know, in-laws, whoever come over to visit. But that's a basic vehicle code violation of the 72 hours. The one issue with RVs and similar vehicles in front yards is that I don't know too many that are under 20 feet, which is a typical driveway length. Otherwise, back ends are backed out into blocking sidewalks and driveways. That's more of the issue, is blocking or protruding out into the street for the really long trailers. Anything else, move it to the side and park along the side yard if you can, and then also in the rear yard area, since we have a lot of alley access, garages and operable gates that a lot of folks have to their rear yards to park on a concrete pad or whatever it may be in the rear yard. So that's the intent on it.
Very good. And there are ordinances and vehicle codes that preclude you and make it illegal to park a vehicle that actually overhangs a sidewalk, a walking area, access to wheelchair ramps, and all those things. So those are all part of the concern.
Pretty much all that Chapter 4 there.
All right. Thank you very much.
yeah, I know we were going over that. I just didn't want to make sure it was.
All right. Anybody else wishing to speak in support of or opposition to? Hearing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. At this time, I would entertain a motion to approve and amend the City of Taft Municipal Code entitled An Ordinance of the City Council of the City of Taft Approving Zoning Ordinance Amendment Number 2017-09, adding a new section to Chapter 12 of Title 6 of the Taft Municipal Code regarding recreational vehicle occupancy, parking, and storage, for first reading by title only, and reading of such be waived.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do we have any additional discussion?
I do. I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Staples, how is this different than the current ordinance that's already out there? I mean, I know that right now people are moving their vehicles a lot. I see people moving them from one house to another house, and
Well, we don't have anything other than that Chapter 4.1, which is already there. The 72 hours, that applies to all vehicles. Even, it's not just recreational, it's other cars. It's more of the nuisance of people leaving cars out on the street and all that. This is more specific to land use on your property, where to store it, avoiding the nuisance of any lengthy residential uses of these RVs. If people are even parked in their rear yard and somebody's living there for 5 years out of an RV, that's not what we're wanting. You know, some people might do a weekend. Again, I mentioned the, family staying a weekend or whatever it may be, but prolonged residency is more of what the focus of this is. But the 72-hour section of Chapter 4.1 has been
how
on
can we
the,
enforce this? I mean, let's face it, we have one or two people to do the enforcing in this town, and how are we going to enforce this? The thing that happens with these ordinances is we're not able to enforce.
well, that's part of our job, and we'll property by property get the new word out on it. There's always a initial notice of violation. You're not necessarily getting a immediate charge on the first notice. This is what the code is. Please adjust however, whatever the particular situation is. Part of this is actually replacing a section of the zoning code that was overwritten, I guess you could say. It was trying to reference a state vehicle code section regarding this, and that state section has been completely revamped and doesn't say what it used to say when the section was originally adopted in 2011. So we went back, looked at the vehicle code section in the municipal code, and adjusted for getting these vehicles more on people's properties and not out on the street and hanging out over sidewalks and driveways.
So when they go to ticket this and tell somebody they need to get it off the property, they're going to just tow the vehicle away?
No, there's a process for that.
Process for that, okay.
Yeah. You get a notice of violation. I forgot the day increments of needing to respond or change whatever your situation is. But I believe within 30 days you might be getting another citation. Might be shorter on vehicle codes. I'm not too familiar with that section.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Do have one question, Mark. Ms. Downey brought up a good point about parking in your own personal driveway. And if you could clarify, if someone doesn't have a gate that delineates driveway to, say, covered parking on the side of their house, at what point do we say this is either visual blight or it's not?
Probably if it's starting to get cobwebs and other debris under the vehicle. That's with any vehicle. We'll see it's general nuisance, maintenance of structure, maintenance of vehicles, things like that. There might be a notice of some kind addressed on it.
What I would assume too, it has to do with off-street parking. If you have a trailer that's blocking your garage is intended to park vehicles in your driveway. So if you're blocking your garage and you can't park your car there, that means everyone's parking on the streets, and you have a parking issue.
Right.
You don't get your street cleaned.
Yeah, and the street sweeper has issues. So
that's all I have. Thank you.
All right, you bet. Councilman Miller, any additional?
Yes, it's been an issue. People take an inch, take a mile. I have a real problem with, I have an RV, I have a fifth wheel. I've parked it in the back all the years that I've had it. But I've gone where you've had to walk down off the sidewalk to go around because of ton on a recreational vehicle sticking out over the sidewalk, or people will put a trash can in front of it and think that solves it. I have a real issue with the cables people string out over the sidewalk, because who are you going to sue? If you trip and fall, you're not going to sue the homeowner because the city's got the big dollars. So the city's liable for that because we have allowed those folks to do that. So, there's boats, there's car trailers, we're talking about all kinds of different vehicles. And what I think my trailer looks pretty, the neighbors may not, so it's all the eye of the beholder, so we're just trying to clean this up. People who go out and buy a new RV, that parking space in the front of your house is not yours. That belongs to the city and the residents of the community. If you park it in your driveway, like you said, now we're putting a couple cars out on the street, and then they don't get moved, and we don't get. I know when people, I'm in kind of a cul-de-sac, and if my neighbors are parked there, I never get my front of my house swept. So I've got to do it myself, but that's the way it is. But the issue is for me is when we've got electric cables strung on just on the sidewalk with no covering on it, and people can walk by at night and trip over it. And I'm surprised we haven't had those trip issues. Now I've noticed one person in my neighborhood has got a couple of stakes up, and now he's running the cabling over the sidewalk to his vehicle. It's not on the sidewalk, but
he heard you don't like that.
I mean, but it's all Mickey Mouse, and it's if it come down the middle of the night and somebody come along and clip them in the neck, it's just an issue, and we're not forcing people to go down and pay for RV parking. But if you buy an RV and you get an RV, that's an issue you have to come to terms with. So, and that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
All right, Councilman Cryer, any comment?
Thank you, Mayor. I have a question. I have an RV. It's in the driveway. I have a car behind the RV, and I have a vehicle to park in front of the RV. You made a statement. How long does the driveway has to be in order to be all right to leave in the driveway?
I believe your house would be considered a side yard because the driveway extends past the front of the house all the way into the side yard.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, if you have something like that, you could pull by.
I do have a double gate behind my yard, my backyard. But you open the gate up, I have a pool there, so I had to put floats on a trailer. I'm putting that in my backyard.
Might want to get a pontoon boat.
Yeah.
Let's ride out. Councilman Cryer will get for code enforcement. Go down there and take a peek at that.
I'd like to come out there and see if it's all right if I need to do it. But I could, but I could move the vehicle from behind it and move it back closer. But I don't think it infringes on the sidewalk or anything with the other vehicle. With two vehicles in the RV, it's still within my boundary line. But would that be permissible, or would that be a gray area?
Well, I don't want to establish gray areas. I would just recommend anybody who happens to get a notice of violation to stop by City Hall, and I'll definitely work with each individual, as we have a number of varied properties. They have alley access, they don't. Their driveways in the front, their driveways in the back. If somebody wants to establish a paved parking pad in their rear yard and install a gate they don't have right now, we'll work with them on all those varied ways of being able to park, whether it's an RV or other oversized vehicle. We're just trying to get folks. The biggest thing is the overstayed residency in RVs, and then any of the extended parking out on the street and overhangs on the sidewalk and driveways. So it sounds like yours is a larger property, so there's some room to maneuver there. We have a number of folks who have no alley access, short driveways, things like that. We need to figure out a unique solution for that.
Another question is, baseball is American pastime, but so is RVing. It's American pastime. Go out on trips, on weekend trips and stuff, and a lot of people, some people can't really afford to spend $90 or $110 a month for a space at an RV storage area. I just, this.
Well,
my thinking.
I would disagree with that. If you've got an RV, that's one of the issues that you have to deal with. It's part of the RV.
I kind of inherited. I got for sale. I'm interested in buying it. I have a nice one for sale, and to get out of there because I don't have time to go RVing. But it's something that I formerly had an RV park, and I no longer have it, so I'm trying to get rid of it. So I'm just there for a temporary deal. But I just want to make sure I'm in compliance, because being on the council, I'm voting for something that I could be
out of compliance with.
Yeah, and on there. So may I need to abstain? I don't know from the vote. But
Sounds like you need to contact code enforcement and
make sure I'm
ask their advice.
But I don't. There's a safety issue and a lot of stuff. I have seen what Councilman Miller said. You got RVs parked almost right in the driveway, and there's no place to park, and then they drive their car and crosses the sidewalk, and it creates a nuisance. So you have to. The kids or people walking their dogs and stuff have to go around that vehicle, go out in the street and get around it. It could be a hazard to them getting hit from the vehicles coming on the streets. But that's just.
I definitely feel look at your property and others as well to figure out some solutions, or if what you already have is sufficient.
All right. Thank you very much, Mark. Appreciate it. All right. At this time, I'd entertain a motion to approve and amend City of Taft Municipal Code entitled an ordinance of the city. Did I already read that? And we got a motion and a second. I'm sorry, I got confused.
It's okay.
So,
Sorry about that.
we have a second, and we have a motion and a second. May we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Miller,
Yes.
Councilmember Cryer,
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hill.
Yes.
And Mayor Knorr.
Yes, thank you. And that passes on a 5-0 vote. Next up, item number 5, public hearing zoning ordinance amendment number 2016-24, drive-through businesses. City Manager Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. The current section 61215 of the zoning ordinance is limited in scope to just drive-through restaurants. The proposed zoning ordinance amendment number 2016-24 seeks to address and clarify all possible drive-through business uses. Attached is a draft resolution with an amendment to section 61215 that now provides overall standards for all drive-through businesses. Planning Commission approved the proposed amendment August 16, 2070. Therefore, staff recommends that the City Council hold a public hearing. Make a motion to approve zoning ordinance amendment 2016-24, amending sections 61215, 653, 663 of the Taft Municipal Code regarding drive-through businesses.
Thank you very much. At this time, I'll conduct a public hearing, open the public hearing regarding this issue. Anybody wishing to speak in support of or in opposition to this issue, please step forward. Seeing none, we're going to go ahead and close the public hearing. At this time, I would entertain a motion to approve and amend the City of Taft Municipal Code entitled an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Taft approving zoning ordinance amendment number 2016-24, an amendment of section 6-12-15, 6-5-3, and 6-6-3 of Title VI of the Taft Municipal Code regarding drive-through businesses for first reading by title only and reading of such be waived.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and who had the second? Councilman Miller had the second.
I have no discussion.
Okay,
No comment.
no comment. Councilman Miller?
I have no discussion.
Mayor Pro Tem Hill? Councilman Cryer?
I have a question. What's this different than what we have right now in the ordinance?
Okay, for this one, Mayor Knorr and Councilmember Miller and even Mayor Pro Tem Hill, whose prior experience was on our Planning Commission, the overhaul of our zoning ordinance section back in 2008 and 2010 was a good template, but it was never refined to address some specifics or inefficiencies that may have been contained within the ordinance. And this is one of those inefficiencies where the only time a drive-through business was referenced, it just said drive-through business, whereas a preferred organization of a zoning code would have it as essentially a second option to the types of businesses that utilize that. So the restaurants should say restaurant permitted, serving alcohol, conditional use permit, drive-through, conditional use permit. Same thing for a bank. When it comes to drive-throughs in the planning and transportation world, it's seen that there's potential for adding traffic to that area and or disrupting traffic flow on a particular site. So this was more of a change in how the code reads and making sure myself and successors are able to find it, as well as the prospective developers bringing any of those businesses in. So it's making sure we get the right application and the right process done for a new application when it comes forth. And then the section itself, which is the 6-12-15, was really lacking and was non-specific, as every Taco Bell or whoever it may be is going, okay, what's your queuing number? Because some have up until 8, 10, because they know they're a high traffic route, like a Route 33 or something like that. So they're looking for specifics. As a planner, I'm looking for specifics, and it was a bit lacking in the original draft. So as you can see, the project number is 2016, and it didn't get to Planning Commission till last August. And I held back on this and a number of other ones as we were going through the cannabis ordinances, so we could focus on that. Now that that's out of the way, I'm getting some of these backlogged ordinances that we've approved or acted on at the Planning Commission level, and it's before you today. But basically, it's fixing some of the inefficiencies in the code itself and how it reads, and finding the information I need and a developer needs.
When I was reading the ordinance, does it have no more than 6 cars in a line or something?
No, we want a minimum. So it's basically a car at the delivery window, 3 back to the menu if it's a restaurant, and then 3 beyond that. So a total of 6 of the lane is how much the lane should be accommodating the 6 vehicles.
That's the queuing that they're
Queuing
talking
lane.
about. How many vehicles in order to keep them out of the
Parking
travel
area, street.
lanes and the parking and the.
Yeah.
So that can vary a little bit too then?
Well, it could go more. 6 is actually pretty short. I figured the Popeyes is 4, I think, and that can stay. It's a legal non-conforming because that's how it was designed. But
The Taco Bell first opened, it was like 15 and 20 people in a line, and we're out spilling
Right.
out. in
But
the
if you
traffic.
look at that drive-through, the queuing, the driveway goes right through where a 6-car queuing would be. That's
Yeah.
why we're trying to make sure that they're designed properly, so it doesn't cause
and it's
traffic
not too long
issues.
for if there's ever new banking institutions that come in that want to drive through. It's not too excessive and doesn't take too much of the land for that, when they probably don't have as many cars as a restaurant would have.
So basically, is it 6 cars to a line, so you have 2 lines, you have 12
A separated lane that isn't part of the parking lot or other traffic flow on the property.
Just like any fast food restaurant you go to anywhere else in any other community. So
Right.
just
new
cleaning
rules.
up the ordinance.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Also, as a part of the ordinance, is a very comprehensive list about what types of businesses you can use drive-throughs for, what is permitted, what is excluded, and what you can get conditional use permits for. So it provides a great deal of that information. So, any additional discussion?
One of the things that we hired Mark for was to go through all these ordinances, as fun as that sounds. But he's been methodically going through these, and as they, he gets to them and they come forward to us and cleans them up. Plus, whatever comes out of the county, whatever comes out of state, whatever comes out of Fed, we're constantly reviewing and updating these things. So it's just, what I see is just part of the cleanup of making it usable for the city and people who come under those ordinances. So thank you, Mark.
All right. Very good then. I've got a motion and a second. May we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Miller?
Yes.
Councilmember Cryer?
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hill?
Yes.
And Mayor Knorr.
Yes. Now pass on a 5-0 vote. Do we have any citizens wishing? I don't have a list. I see. All right, next up, item number 6, citizens request public comments. This is the time and place for the general public to address the city council on matters within its jurisdiction. State law prohibits, prohibits the council from addressing any issue not previously included on the agenda. Council may receive comment and set the matter for a subsequent meeting. Please limit your comments to 5 minutes. On the list, I have Dr. Kathy Warren from the Chamber.
Good evening. I wanted to let you know or remind you that we have a State of the City luncheon coming up this Thursday. We have a wonderful round of speakers. Craig Jones, our city manager, will be talking about the Transit Center, which is looking gorgeous, and it is a wonderful event spot. We've used it now twice, and we love it, so good job. Jerry Starr will be from the Healthcare District, will be talking about the progress on the healthcare campus. Deb Daniel, who is President Superintendent of Taft College, will be talking to us about the progress on the student union on Taft College's campus, and also giving us some information about Measure C that will be on the ballot this June. And then our own Bob Colston will be talking about Phase 2. This is of his project, and this is all designed to tell us, things are moving forward in Taft. We're still doing well. So this is a reminder. The luncheon is $15. You can pay at the door. Please just let us know that you're coming so that we make sure that you have a plate. And that's this Thursday. Friday is our first Fund the Fireworks event, and that's when hopefully we'll have firemen collecting copious amounts of money, and we will be getting ready to pay for our fireworks. We've already sent in a down payment. The fireworks are on July 4th this year, so we're looking forward to that. That's going to be fun. It's always fun to have the firemen and some of our law enforcement come sometimes, and when that can happen, it's wonderful. It creates a lot of energy on that intersection, so we're looking forward to that. Since there are elections in June, we have become rather popular at the old chamber with sit-and-sips. So I wanted to alert you of some very exciting sit-and-sips that are coming up. On the 11th, the West Kern Adult School are going to be talking more in depth about what they offer the citizens of Taft, and that's going to be very well received, I'm sure. On the 18th, our own David Couch will be coming. Please mark that down, because we're not going to be seeing him after a while, and it's very sad, it appears. I don't think I'm premature in saying that, but we're going to miss him if things go the way they look like they're going, but he's still coming to see us on the 18th. On the 25th, we asked the Mission of Kern County in Bakersfield to come and talk to us about the mission. This is one of the services that are offered in Bakersfield but are open to Taft folks. It's one of the only services that's open to Taft folks that are down and out. where they actually get you, drive you to Bakersfield, help you get your ID card, and help you get situated. So many services are in Bakersfield, but Taft people have to get there themselves. This is one of those services that provides that. So I'm hoping that people will take note. That's the 25th. And then May 2nd, Justin Fleeman, who is running against our sheriff, Donnie Youngblood, will be the program at Sit and Sip. On May 18th, Chad Louie who is running for judge, and he will be coming to talk to us in Taft. And then on May 30th, Donnie Youngblood will be coming to be our program for Sit and Sip. So it's a kind of a exciting Sit and Sip season, and you're all, of course, invited. We will have another Fund the Fireworks on the 4th of May, which is a Friday, first Friday. And we'll also have a first Friday there's a lot of stuff going on Center Street, because the car show will be May 5th, and that's up on the Rails to Trails. So there'll be some things going on the night before on Center Street. They'll be kind of exciting. So we're busy at the Chamber. We appreciate very much the chance to serve our community with great events, and we hope that everyone takes advantage of that.
Busy calendar. Thank you very much, Dr.
Thank
Warren.
you.
All right, next up, item number 7, council statements, non-action. Councilman Cryer, I'll begin with you.
Thank you, Mayor. I too will be missing David Couch. What's happening with our county being lines being changed and stuff. He's been an excellent supervisor for us and stuff, and I wish him the best on the running that new district. I think he'd be an excellent person for that new district. But politics is, you just don't know until a fat lady sings. We'll see what happens. Another thing too I want to touch on, and I touched on it before, California is a tough place to do business. It's like every day or each week there's new rules and regulations. It's not there to help the people, not there to help the Hispanics or the working class type deal working on minimum wage. They raise this stuff saying that they're going to help them, but in turn hurt them. And I've got complaints all over. I do a lot of traveling in the farming community. The biggest deal is that at one time they used to work 10 hours a day, 60-hour a week straight time. We're the only state that has overtime on that. All the other states is unlimited hours at $7.40 an hour or thereabouts. But now they're cutting the hours down to 8 hours, 40 hours, and they're losing about $200 a week less because they're cutting their hours down because the growers can't afford to pay the overtime. Not in all the industries that way. Some industry is guaranteed, like almonds and pistachios and the grapes, and table grapes. They're pretty much have a good market, good sales deal because we're the biggest and the best as far as in the world on some of the commodities. But some of the lesser stuff like broccoli, cauliflower, green onions, carrots, and some other stuff is being produced at other countries that they can grow it cheaper than we can. They send it over by boat and go into the LA market, the New York market, and all the other big cities that we can't hardly compete in because we just can't, because of our labor costs. This is California. Other states can do a lot cheaper, but our cost is so much higher. We have to pay the highest wages for it. Our energy cost is higher. Our property taxes, the rules and regulations that we have to abide by, the paperwork. You have to hire companies, not just individual working in your office. You have to hire a company that specializes in doing the paperwork for the agricultural community to get it done. There's all the extra costs is involved. So some companies are moving out as far as some of their produce, going to other states to offset the costs in California. But what's getting hurt the most is the people who need the most. The ones that really need the extra money or the extra benefits, but our youth. You can't get an entry job because they would hire somebody 20, 30 years old than somebody coming out of high school because they don't have the work skills and stuff. So a lot of it's just is affecting us, and it's also affecting here in Kern County, the cost of everything, and you're seeing less and less. There's going to be changed to more tree crops, less intensive, labor intensive commodities and stuff, and we just need to change the legislature to recognize it so that they don't hurt the people they're supposed to be helping. And a lot of it is all the retirement programs where you have a choice: when either work at $12 an hour, or just go ahead and not have to do anything at all. They make about the same amount of money off these different retirement programs. So it's a convoluted deal in our economy and stuff that it's going to affect us long term if things don't change sharply, quickly, because it's getting very, very tough out there. And I've talked to some growers just recently and stuff. They don't know if they're going to be in business here or compete anymore because they're losing money on their commodities and stuff. Especially this year, the bloodbath in the cauliflower, broccoli, lettuce. There's been a bloodbath as far as prices and stuff on the market. That's going to affect a lot of people for next year. That's all I have to say.
All right, Councilman Miller.
The hills are alive with green weeds. And they'll dry out as soon as the heat hits. It's warming up and the weeds are coming out. That's kind of my annual thing. Get after them now before they get out of hand. City crews are strained. So if you think that they're going to come awry and hoe your weeds out in front of your house, they're not going to do it. So if you'll share in the responsibility and be good neighbors and get after your weeds that are out and around the alleys too, we certainly would appreciate it. So that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. I was actually out in the alleyway yesterday, as a matter of fact, with my Roundup doing just that. I was thinking of you. Councilman Bryant.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a feeling it's going to be a recurring theme now and in the very near future. Dr. Oren talked about it, and obviously Councilman Cryer touched on it, but I want to take the opportunity to thank David Couch, current District 4 Supervisor for the Kern County Board of Supervisors. Been a tremendous advocate and workhorse for the west side, and specifically here in Taft and the surrounding area. So hopefully we're not going to miss Dave, but in the event we do, I hope he knows that he's very well missed from all of us here on this council and all of us here on the west side. Still a lot of hubbub out on social media and in the community regarding vagrancy, homelessness, etc. But I think folks are not focusing where the real issue lies, and that's on the drug abuse issue. And I think we all understand that there's an issue here. It's been exacerbated by Prop 47, Prop 57, AB 109. I can go on and on about those things. And I think folks don't have a good understanding of what our police force is actually doing. Many instances they're complaining about the things they're not doing without actually knowing the hard work and effort, sometimes on their own time, that these folks are doing to make sure our community is safe and those things are off the street. Working their way up the chain, trying to cut off the supply in the town, not just trying to bust the user. So I really would encourage folks, and Chief, I hope you don't mind, I'm going to plug getting you guys some ride-alongs, but I wish folks would just take the opportunity to spend an evening, 2, 3, 4 hours with an officer. I spent 9 hours with an officer myself on the 24th, worked from 7 to 4 in the morning, and it was nice to see the effort that those folks put in. And it's sad to see that the situations these folks are putting themselves in to continue to abuse, but I think it's nice to see the effort that these folks put in. For those folks who I was with and the folks who I was not with, I appreciate your work very much. We as the council and we as the community appreciate your work, and we only look forward to supporting you more and more. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Hill.
Thank you, Mayor. I have no comments this evening.
All right. I myself have become very good friends with David Couch over the years that he has represented the people and served the people. I will tell you that it has been my experience, and this is my opinion only, that he was well-tuned and dedicated. He was receptive. He was accessible, well beyond what the supervisors before him were. He partnered with the city of Taft to benefit everybody on the west side, and the energy that he and his staff brought forth, as well as resources, benefited the people of the west side, benefited the people of the city of Taft. I believe in Supervisor Couch, and we don't know for absolute certainty how the judge is going to go regarding the acceptance of the map, when things are going to become official. Obviously, City of Taft has been drawn into District 2, which is currently Zach Scribner's district, and David Couch's district was redrawn slightly. We'll just have to see how it shakes out. I was over at the Board of Supervisors meeting the day of that meeting and listened to every single person who spoke there. And I understand the judge made a ruling, and I know who appointed him, and I know what his history has been, and so his ruling was no surprise. I can tell you that the process, I don't believe, was fair. I don't believe it was transparent. It could have been more transparent, and that's one of the things that Supervisor Couch argued for, was at the very least, be more transparent, reach out, do everything you can to get the public's input. They're the ones going to be affected by this, and that did not take place. I listened to the things that were said, and I don't believe, this is my opinion, I don't believe the Latino community was forgotten, disenfranchised, like people made a case for. In the city of Bakersfield right now, and I don't know all of them, but I know they have a Latino Chamber of Commerce, they have a African American Chamber of Commerce, they have an LBGT Chamber of Commerce. I don't know how many they have. City of Taft, we have one Chamber of Commerce. Doesn't matter race, color, creed, sex, national origin, sexual preference, doesn't matter. If you want to be a part of the Chamber of Commerce, go through the door. Nobody's excluded. You know, they're not vetted. I don't agree with the process that was over there. And one of the points that was made by many members of the Latino community was that they were underserved. Well, I looked at the Board of Supervisors and the makeup, there's 5 of them. And I would have to say then I would guess the African American Chamber of Commerce would take exception to their representation by the same board, because nobody was up there from the African American community, nor the Native American community, nor the Oriental American community. A lot of them. Just because you're any nationality does not automatically make you fit to govern or represent the people. It doesn't matter if you're Caucasian, representing Caucasians, or Latinos, or African Americans, or anything. And finally, if by default, it truly takes a Latino to effectively represent and govern Latinos, I don't understand why it is that the vast majority of people that illegally immigrate into the United States come up through South America and come from Latin American countries that are currently governed by Latinos. I'm confused. But I will tell you, it is my experience that while Supervisor Couch represented the people of the West Side, he didn't care about those things. He was the only supervisor I had experience with that gave a voice to the people in Victory Square. People who were being taken advantage of by out-of-town landlords. And heaven knows, I'd be willing to bet you nobody down there even votes. But that wasn't important to Supervisor Couch. What was important was just exactly what the squalor they were living in, and the inhuman conditions and the plight of those people. And he got involved, and he fought for them, and he made a difference in their quality of life. Not because of who they are, where they came from, or even the fact that they could vote, or they even know who he was. He was that kind of representative. I heard Dolores Huerta stand up and call him a racist in that meeting. And I was disgusted by it. That has not been my experience. And I thought that was a dismal display. So I will stand by David Couch. He did a great job representing the people. He worked for the people, and he always will. That's the kind of person he is. So that's all I have to say about that. Next up, item number 8, department reports. Do we have any department reports other than one we've already gotten from Mark Staples? It would appear none. City manager statement. City Manager Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. I have no statement tonight.
All right. City attorney statements.
Thank you, Mr.
Your
Mayor.
Honor.
No statement.
No statement. All right. Item number 11, future agenda requests. Do we have any future agenda requests this evening? None? All right. Then we're going to move on to the consent calendar, items 12 through 20. All items listed on the consent calendar shall be considered routine and will be enacted by one roll call vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a member of the City Council requests specific items to be removed from the consent calendar for separate action. Any item removed from the consent calendar will be considered after regular business items. Are there any items on the consent calendar that any member of the public would like to comment on? Seeing none, the items are item number 12, the minutes from the March 20th, 2018 regular meeting. Recommendation is to approve as submitted. Item 13 is the payment of bills, about $340,000 worth. Item 14, a comprehensive list of resources as requested by Mayor Pro Tem Hill. Item number 15, award of CDBG infill sidewalk project to R.C. Becker and Son. Recommendation is a motion to authorize a contract with R.C. Becker and Son in the amount of $750,442.88 from CDBG grant number 15 CDBG-10564. In addition, authorize the expenditure, if needed, of up to $75,044 in contingency funds for the project, also from the CDBG grant funds. Item 16, a special event permit for the annual Christian service event. That recommendation is a motion to approve a resolution entitled Resolution of the City Council of the City of Taft approving special event permit number 2018-06, authorizing Edgar Gill of Iglesia de Jesucristo Canan, I hope I didn't butcher that, to hold a Christian service event on city property on the corner of 6th Street and Main Street at the Rails to Trails stage on April 21st, 2017. Item 17 is adoption of parking violation fee schedule. Recommendation is a motion to adopt a resolution entitled A Resolution of the City Council of the City of Taft setting the penalties for parking violations, late payment penalties, administrative fees, and other related charges for parking violations in the City of Taft. Item 18 is the adoption of the current Kern County Development Standards to replace the current City of Taft Subdivision and Engineering Design Manual. Recommendation is a motion to adopt a resolution entitled Resolution of the City Council of the City of Taft to adopt the current Kern County Development Standards to replace the current City of Taft Subdivision and Engineering Design Manual in its entirety. Item 19 is a professional services agreement with Retail Strategies for economic development and retail recruitment services. Recommendation is a motion to approve a professional services agreement with Retail Strategies for year one, economic development and retail recruitment services with a cost not to exceed $50,000, as referenced by our planning director. Item number 20 is to accept the completed work by Black Hawk Construction Incorporated for the Taft Transit Center located at 550 Supply Road. Recommendation there is a motion to accept the completed work by Black Hawk Construction Incorporated for the Taft Transit Center, DIR number 154309, and authorize the city clerk to file the notice of completion with the Kern County Recorder. Staff further recommends the release of the 5% retention to the contractor after 30 days pending claims or liens filed during this period. Does any council member wish to remove any items on the consent calendar? Nope. Hearing none, I'm going to remove item 17, please. That being the case, at this time I would entertain a motion to approve consent calendar items 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18, 19, and 20.
Motion.
Second.
A motion and a second. May we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Miller,
Yes.
Councilmember Cryer,
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hill,
Yes.
and Mayor Knorr.
Yes, that passes on a 5-0 vote. Thank you very much. I request that we removed item 17, the adoption of parking violation fee schedule. City Manager Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. The city's fees for parking violation, late penalties, administrative fees, and other related charges for parking violations have not been updated since 1999. Therefore, city code enforcement, police department staff, research fees from comparable area cities put together the attached proposed fee schedule for review and approval.
All right, thank you, City Manager Jones. The reason I asked that this be removed is I went through all of these, and in the staff report, there's a brief synopsis of each of these fees and each of these fines. And so I had questions that weren't addressed in the synopsis. The fact of the matter is I was educated on this matter, and you can look at the number off to the left here, and on the City of Taft website these numbers will reference the entire vehicle code, which will explain in great detail any issues that you would have with those. And then there was one other issue, and that was obstructing wheelchair access has a penalty of $250, and also parking near sidewalk access ramps. Near, I thought, was rather arbitrary. And once you access the California Vehicle Code section, near is within 3 feet. So once again, if anybody out there in TV land or anybody else should read these and think, well, I don't understand that, please reference the California Vehicle Code and it will explain it. So I would like to amend the motion to reflect the fact that obstructing wheelchair access, which is California Vehicle Code 225001, or no, L, I beg your pardon, L, and parking near sidewalk access ramps, which is going to be changed to within 3 feet of, that's 22522, will both have the same fine, and that penalty will be $250 as opposed to a difference.
Okay.
I would ask if we amend the motion in the second.
I would make the motion with the amendment proposed by the mayor.
All right. And I have a second. So we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion on this issue, gentlemen? No? All right. We have a motion and a second. May we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Miller,
Yes.
Councilmember Cryer,
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hill,
Yes.
and Mayor Moore.
Yes, that passed on 5-0 vote. Thank you very much. That brings us to the end of the open session portion of this evening's meeting. This council will go into closed session for item A, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, Government Code Section 54956.9A, Taft Union High School versus the City of Taft. Thank you all for being here this evening.